Earlier this year, we visited a village in eastern Uganda called Sendwave district, where a number of Christians had mysteriously disappeared and later were found to be in Ethiopia where they had gone to preach the gospel. We visited a church called Christ Disciples Church, a church where the Christians always used to fellowship. An old man, the father to the pastor who was leading the church by that time, took us through and opened for us the church. While explaining to us how and what happened, he told us that the Christians were being informed that they were needed to go and preach the gospel of Christ in Ethiopia, a revelation that was given to the men of God after a long prayer that they had. More than 100 Christians were able to sell off their properties like land, animals, and others just to secure money to visit Ethiopia. But later it became a different story. The video clip that you are watching right now is an old video clip of a story that I recently published following the mysterious disappearance of some of the Christians into Ethiopia, Abinasia, for gospel work. And this is how it was.
As far as I know, these sects which have come up and have lured many people into their religion. You know, we had this information that people have been taken to Ethiopia without the knowledge of the leadership of the area, which is absurd. So, being a leader, being a person of the area, I advise people always to check what type of information they get.
Alright guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In case it's your first time to watch any of my new videos, make sure you hit on the subscribe bell or button so that each time I upload any new video, actually be the first to be notified. I also want to say thank you so much to all my returning viewers. Because of you, I'm able to move. So guys, first things first. That was an old story, actually what happened. But of course, I kept on following this story. Recently, just this week, more than 100 Ugandan Christians who traveled from my side of Uganda moved up to Kenya. They're actually planning again to go that side of Ethiopia to actually preach the gospel. But you realize most of these guys are going out there, but they're selling off all their properties. These guys actually failed to actually reach their destination. They were actually in Nakuru, that is in Kenya. But the guy who was actually their leader was not able to join them. He was back here in Uganda. That is according to the information that is actually online right now. So the Kenyan authorities, after seeing these guys looking suspicious, they moved to them. When they interrogated, they found out they were from Uganda and they moved into Ethiopia. When they contacted the Ugandan authorities, they were able to tell that these guys were actually some of the Christians from the Christ Disciples Church who have been moving out, they say they are going to preach the gospel in Ethiopia. So they were actually brought back into the country. So authorities the police is actually requesting now for the people to receive this people back into the communities. So it is a very unique story here. You selling off your property to go and preach gospel from another country. So guys, I'm just going to briefly take you through some of the old videos how I ran these interviews and actually what was actually happening. But make sure you subscribe, and I will also be sharing the police statement, what the police actually have to say about these guys who actually picked from that side of Kenya, brought back into Uganda, into the city of Soroti. So they'll be taken back to their different destinations where they actually came from. So make sure you hit on the subscribe button. Make sure you like. Drop down a comment. What do you think about these religious sects that are actually coming up with this kind of things? Let's telling you, let's go and preach the gospel. But of course, what you have to do, sell off your property. You'll be settled there because it's a unique one. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Make sure you follow. Thank you so much for supporting me. Without you guys, I wouldn't be here. Behind me is actually a building that is actually supposed to be an extension of the church. Formerly, they had a small building that, according to the father, says that the church actually took about 10 years when the Christians used to come. But of course, with the increasing number of people coming in from different parts of the country, they actually decided to start constructing a new building, and of course that is a building. But of course we now don't know what exactly is going to happen, since most of the people who have been behind this have actually all gone out. So a lot has actually been happening here. Most of the locals are actually still surprised, and of course they're asking themselves what exactly is actually going to happen. And then, of course, when you see behind me again, those are some plantations. The pastor, or rather the leader of this church, actually used to practice horticulture. And of course, his things are actually also left behind here. And no one is again supposed to take care of this, because he knew what he was actually up to. And of course, what has remained here has just he stayed here. So everything has just changed. Right behind me is actually the house that belonged to the church leader here. And of course, this house and of course the whole compound now remains with the father. The father also actually used to work in this church as one of the leaders. But of course, because of his being sick, he wasn't able to move out with these guys. But according to him, he says if he was fine, he would have actually joined the team here for the prayers, because the locals say these people had a prayer of about 2 weeks before they moved out. So before the 2 weeks, they had a party whereby chicken was slaughtered, turkeys were slaughtered, all kinds of food was actually prepared. Then they moved out at night. The only way these people got to realize that these guys were going to move away was one lady within the group who told one other person. She actually didn't want to go, but after telling one other member of the village, this person actually decided to spread the information. So these guys actually moved at night. Some of the people who failed to get the 2 million shillings that was required for getting travel documents, and of course some other things for them to actually move up to Ethiopia, were not able to go. But the rest were able to get the 2 million, were able to actually move out. One of the people who was actually able to move out was a gentleman who works with the Sendwave district local government. He went out together with his family. From that time, it actually rose a lot of concern where the leader actually moved. So when they came to investigate about this how these issues actually came out, and it still remains a surprise to most of the people where these people have actually gone. And of course, it is still shocking. Uh, this is actually the compound belonging to the leader of the church. This is actually his compound. What is so interesting, and of course what is so surprising, is that these people were told that they to move to Ethiopia to actually go for missionary work. But of course they were also informed that there is going to be a serious war, or rather insurgency, in Uganda for 5 years. So they were actually told to move to Ethiopia, which will actually be a refuge place for them for the 5 years. You realize in Uganda we have been having most of these cases coming up. Recently, again, some people were actually told that there is going to be an earthquake that's going to destroy most parts of the country. But of course, after some time, it actually didn't happen. So that's actually what's happening here right now. This is actually a compound belonging to the leader of church, who has actually moved out to Ethiopia together with some of the Christians. This place now remains under the care of his father, a 74-year-old man.
Kitologera mu akitobono akitoni kone rai ikisere bakapara kuri isikule awaiti isikule ngesi bono poto likesi no imele kesi angasi kimele aba ngo kwasi likesi dora yo nani ukidele kwa amusheni na domoto amusheni idosi ya na kwili kaja
so guys, actually the new update is about more than 100 of them were actually brought back, as I was actually explaining. So the old video was actually I was actually trying to explain to you guys, so that some of you were not following this will be able to get to know the point why these guys were actually taken out and actually what happened. Okay, leaving that aside, this is actually the police statement that was issued earlier this week. Let me say today, when these guys were actually brought to the regional headquarters of police here in Soroti City. This is what the spokesperson of police, SP Agecha Greg Oscar, had to say. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you keep on liking, make sure you drop down the comments. Tell me what you think about this.
This is SP Agecha Oscar Gregory, and a press brief that the Uganda Police Force of East Choga informs the public about the repatriation of Christ Disciples Church members from Nakuru in Kenya. So the Uganda Police Force of East Choga have received a total of 101 Christians of Christ Apostles Church that have been repatriated from Nakuru in Kenya. The said individuals that comprised 18 male adults, 23 female adults, 29 female juveniles, 31 male adults, and infants from this religious sect, and who hail from the districts of Ngora, Serere, and Komi. The facts are that they were intercepted en route to Ethiopia, where they were allegedly going to preach the gospel permanently or otherwise in their original and ancestral homeland of Ethiopia. They had illegally crossed over to Kenya, had been abandoned by the leadership of the church. That's why they were found there stranded, and they had nowhere to go. It's to be noted that East Choga Police were yet to conclude the general inquiry file into the disappearance of the members of the church that had happened earlier this year, and which were later to be found to be in Abyssinia in Ethiopia. And upon this background, that the second group was sneaking out to the country. The leadership of the church, referred to as Christ Disciples Church, that is Reverend Nyaku James and Pastor Orang Augustine, had convinced their followers that God has a plan for them to go to Ethiopia, and that's why even the second group was going to spread the gospel. We, as the Uganda Police Force, we have ensured the safe return of more than 100 citizens, and we are planning to place them back in their communities. We therefore ask the public to be understanding and receive them back without prejudice. We extend our gratitude to all members and all parties that contributed to the safe return of these individuals back to their community.
Those who have been critically following this story, you realize that there is again another church called the Christ Disciples Church Uganda. It's far different from Christ Disciples Church. These guys happen to be one church. It was like a whole church together, but of course you realize some of the members who were in that church were fighting for the name of the church because they wanted to use it so that they can benefit. So these guys who are actually in Ethiopia, one of the guys who is leading that team in Ethiopia is believed to be one of the guys who actually fought these other guys who are still in Uganda, the Christ Disciples Church Uganda. I want to actually just share a small clip about this so that you guys can get to understand about these guys. I think they had their own personal fights. Check this out.
I'm Bishop Ismail Rode Ojamale, Bishop of Christ Disciples Church Uganda. I came here in Soroti as a reverend in 1986. But when the other bishop died who was here, I was consecrated in 2012 generally. Up to date, I'm a bishop. So the confusion which came within the 2017, the sect of some people, Christians, diverted the services and refused the leadership of Christ Disciples Church Uganda, and they started their own fellowship. In that manner, they rebelled, and I hear they have gone somewhere, whereby I don't know. They say Abyssinia, they say where, but I don't know. But the actual fact remains, the church I lead does not comply with anything with those people. We are in the true service, and the church is in harmony with the government. At the same time, we had a general meeting which comprises all the churches, which are about 250 churches. It was in Kumbi, that is Chaboy area, Kumbi, Morupede. people had collected there. And we went well, and everything went well. But from that meeting onwards, we heard that these people in Serere, the breakaway group, has gone to Ethiopia, something of the sort. But they are not among with us. They are a rebelled group which went away on their own issues. Up to today, we are hearing they are there. But in the church, the church as a bishop, I don't know how they went, how they got their papers. Because I hear that when you are going somewhere, you have a written document which will allow you to go somewhere. But I don't know where they got the papers which allowed them to go anywhere, like Ethiopia. That is my part which I know. The church is in unity and humbleness. There's nothing bad up to today. All those years, when we are going out for these general meetings, we go within Uganda. We have not gone out of Uganda. We go to Busia, we go to Bukedia, we go to Lira, we go to Kampala. We have a church in Kampala, Kinawataka. The church for this denomination, Christ Disciple Church Uganda. But we have never gone outside Uganda.
So as the bishop, what measures are you taking to make sure that your name, because here your name is involved, what measures are you taking to make sure that your name is not involved in the saga that is happening right now?
So let it be government work. Let them come in and see who are the wrong people. For me, I can't say that I did something bad, but I'm here in Soroti, and however here in Soroti I've never gone anywhere. So it is God's work, but government work now to see who are the offenders, who have done bad. But for me, I'm always here in Soroti. We don't allow them to use the name, but these are people who use that name which is there. These people they have evil hearts. That's why they have continued using the name. But the government here in Soroti, RPC knows it, even RCC knows about these people. They are just stubborn people. They are just like that. But we don't know anything about what they are doing.
I am Okalani Caucus, and I work with the bishop. It has been quite long when I've been together with the bishop and his team. This breakaway group, they are known, they are leaders. It was around 2017 when they decided stubbornly to refuse to accept they refused to share fellowship with us. They even refused to recognize the leadership of the church. These are people led by Asiombe Rago, Katongole Joseph, Ochen Vincent, Enyaku James, Sempija Leo, Omudu George William, and Orago Augustine. Among those people, we hear that it is Ochen, Enyako, and Rago who have crossed. Where they got their authority to go, we do not know. When they rebelled, like in the scriptures, if you read in the book of in the beginning at the time of Moses, in the book of Numbers, chapter 16 from verse 1, there was a set of people who refused leadership, and Moses tried all he could to guide as the Lord had instructed. They refused. So these people, when they broke away, even they say, like some of them, we had the church had especially like Asio, the church had entrusted her on some issues, In the beginning, she was a treasurer. As time went on, she led the group to go and get the land title for this place. But when she got it, she went away with everything. We tried all attempts to reconcile with these people. We even had to involve the RDC. By then, Mr. William Tukey Wilberforce. He came in with the mayor Omer, together with our local leadership here, to try to bring them to these people trying to immediate us. They still refused and they continued on their own. Actually, they refused the leadership. They went, even of recent, the church involved even the RCC of Soroti City, together with the RPC and the local leadership. We had Mr. Ekwe trying to bring us together, trying to convince them to come down to accept the leadership of the bishop. These people still continued, and even the NGO board, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, sent members to come to try to bring us together. Still they refused. As we talk now, our matter is still being handled at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. It was just a rumor we learned, because they have got a few members from Ngora in Kobuin churches, some members in Serere. We only learned that they went, Uganda is going to collapse, and that they are going away, and when we only hear they went away. That is all we know about them. Otherwise, the Christ Disciples Church Uganda, where Ismail Orodo Jangole is a leader, does not know all about their movement. We only know that among these people I have named, it is the three who have gone there. That is Ochen, Enyako, and Orago. That is all we know. Otherwise, the church tried all it could to reconcile, but they refused. Thank you. And even our documents, some of the documents that they had, like for buying land for those churches. We know they have been fellowshipping, they have refused to stay together with us. That is why we had to involve the government to try to come and immediate when we failed with them. And as we talk now, our issue is still handled by the NGO board. It was now the NGO board to give us their decision, the final, after sending the members here, and when they told us wait for the decision of the board. We held several meetings, some of them even inviting them to come, but they don't accept to come. Actually, for your information, this is now an issue after the NGO board members left here and told us that it is now the decision of the board. That would be the final deciding body for us.
I'm Grace Shaggy. I'm one of the members in the Christ Disciples Church Uganda, but we fellowship